Shalom, shalom, this is Kapaya, a.k.a. Pops, out of GMS Chicago, with another sit-down. I'm not going to necessarily say this might be a brief one either. But before I get started, like always, I want to send all praises, honor, and glory out to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Kakwadash, to the apostles and elders of GMS out of New York, elder bishops out of Connecticut. I send double honors because they do real well. Double honors to those men. For the brethren around the world, push this truth uncut, unfiltered, giving you the good, the bad, and the ugly of the scriptures, the prophecies, breaking them down in the interaction with the people on the planet, declaring war, and send salutations. For the hopefully elect, I hope this is edifying. For the Aquath, the few and the true that's listening sincerity, charity, keep doing so. For the scorners, call for Rep 2/3 Israelites and 17 other nations, this is not for you anyway. Okay, this is almost a 17-minute video, but I'm not going to go through it all. I'm not going to play it all. Okay. Oh, and copyright infringements and things of this nature under the Educational Act of 1976. This is in no way going to profit me or be of monetary gain on my behalf. I'm using this for educational purposes only. Like I said, I'm 3 minutes and 8 seconds into this. So I'm going to bag this up and let it play through. And because, I looked at the title, okay, and I'm looking at these women and then, what we've been seeing on the meltdown of the so-called Negro or African-American woman, which is actually the Israelite woman, and the meltdown that they're going, and these people are just melting down altogether, but they're not understanding the time that they're in. So, like I said, I'm gonna chop this up, bit by bit as the Spirit leads me. So, like I said, let me bag this up, and we're gonna I'm gonna run it to the 3-minute 8 mark, and about there, I'm gonna wind up probably put a scripture in there.
This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, War, Peace, and the Presidency. I'm Amy Goodman in New York, joined by Democracy Now!'s Juan Gonzalez in Chicago. Hi, Juan.
Hi, Amy, and welcome to all of our listeners and viewers across the country and around the world.
Well, Donald Trump is headed back to the White House 4 years after attempting a coup to stay in power. In a resounding victory over Vice President Kamala Harris, Trump is projected to have secured at least 277 electoral votes, surpassing the 270 needed to win the presidency. It appears he may also win the popular vote, which he lost twice before. Republicans have also regained control of the Senate, but the House is still up for grabs. The presidential race was called for Trump after he won the critical swing states of Wisconsin, Georgia, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania. Trump's also in the lead in Michigan, Nevada, and Arizona as we broadcast. Trump's the first convicted felon and at 78, the oldest candidate ever elected president. He appears on pace to win the popular vote for the first time after receiving fewer votes than Hillary Clinton in 2016 and Joe Biden in 2020. We begin with two guests. Michelle Goodwin is professor of constitutional law and global health policy at Georgetown University and founding director of the Center for Biotechnology and Global Health Policy, author of Policing the Womb, Invisible Women, and the Criminalization of Motherhood. And in Atlanta, Georgia, we're joined by Carol Anderson, professor of African American Studies at Emory University, author of many books, including One Person, No Vote, How Voter Suppression is Destroying Our Democracy. Her other books include The Second, Race and Guns in a Fatally Unequal America, and White Rage, The Unspoken Truth of Our Racial Divide. We welcome you back both to Democracy Now! After our 4-hour special last night. Professor Anderson, let's begin with you. If you can respond to Trump's victory.
The Confederacy won. When you begin to really think about what he advocated, the kind of racism, the kind of xenophobia, the kind of hatred, all wrapped in a sense of honor and gallantry, and how that resonated with such a large, wide swath of the American public, that begins to tell you that you're seeing the backlash to what they call the great, you're seeing the backlash to what they fear was the great replacement. And so this feels like the kind of last stand of white supremacy. And it's going to put so many of us in jeopardy. And it's also part of the drug of American exceptionalism, where those who voted for him believe that they're going to be safe from the policies that he's going to rain down. And so that...
Okay, so there it is. About 305, 308, and that was the word, rain. Rain is what triggered it for me. Okay, going to rain down. Okay, let's go get a scripture. And that's what triggered. I said, yeah, this is going to be loaded with scenarios because they have a zeal, but not according to knowledge. Okay, this woman is an author and this, that, and the other, first of all, and this, that, and the other. But the thing is they went against their men for such a long period of time, and this, that, and the other, and now they can't come back to us. Okay, they mad. You see them on social media losing their mind, going off. But in actuality, of the so-called Afro-American, which is the tribe of Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, 78% of them that voted for Kamala. 78% voted for Kamala. But the women have lost their mind and said that the man didn't show up. Well, we've lived with the fact that you started selling out us on the boat, okay? And as public aid, food stamps, housing vouchers, and all these other kinds of things was given to you, and government jobs was given to the females back starting in the 60s or whatever the case might be. I think I did a sit down about the first black female bus driver here in the Chicagoland area and blah, blah, blah. As these jobs was given to you all, you turned your back on your man. And now you want to get mad, but then they didn't turn their back on you because, like I said, 78% still voted for a lady of color, of brown skin, that's not one of us. She's not an Israelite, so she definitely wasn't supposed to be put above us as far as usurping authority over a man. But let's go deal with that word rain. Okay, let's deal with that word rain. Let me okay, so I'm going over here to Revelations 12 and 12. Okay. Revelation 12 and 12. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants, and woe means destruction, to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea. For the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. So who is the devil? Who is the devil then? Since you all don't want to deal with that part of it, let me go and pull this scripture up. Old Testament. Isaiah, the 14th chapter. Let me see. I'm going to start 11 here. It's me in it all the way through, but I'm going to start 11. Thy pomp is brought thee down to the grave, and the noise of thy vows. The worm is spread under thee, and the worms cover thee. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which did weaken the nations? So what nation was that weakened the nations? Well, when America used the hydrogen bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, it scared the rest of the world until they started catching up. And that's why it's going when you go up. In verse 10, it says, all that shall see thee shall say unto thee, art thou also become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? Because now all these smaller countries have nukes. So it says, how art thou fallen back to verse 12. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which did weaken the nations? 13. For thou hast said in thy heart, I will ascend unto heaven, which was the Apollo programs of the 60s here in America. Okay, even though it wound up being a lie because nobody was ever able to break the Van Allen belt, which is the radiation belt that's wrapped around the planet in the first place. To go through that, you would expose yourself to radiation, which is just like the same way that happened at Hiroshima and Nagasaki. All the people that died that wasn't in a direct blast but caught the radiation fallout, they died from that as well. So they couldn't be able to do that anyway. It says, so I will ascend above, okay. For verse 13, for thou hast said in thy heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars. They put up the what? The International Space Station, right? Of God. I will also sit upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. And so what happened as well? America, when it declared itself, and when it did those things itself, it declared itself the head honcho, the golden cup of Babylon, the virgin daughter. Okay? I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. And what did they do? This is where Yahweh Shai, who the world ignorantly called Jesus, was persecuted. How? They put that painting up, painted by Michelangelo and Leonardo da Vinci. They put that picture up of Cesare Borgia or Serapis, okay, and which is basically another spinoff, an earlier spinoff of what they did with that, according to the apocrypha, and did this. So they put that picture. So the scripture says that he's a man of color, dark as if burned in a furnace. But they put that white Jesus up and persecuted and took the color of the man that sacrificed himself for the elect of Israel. Okay? I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. So this man has put himself in the position of God. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. But here's the trick. Verse 16, they that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man? So now up here in verse 12, we're talking about Lucifer. So everybody can accept that Lucifer is the devil. They can accept that part. But now we get down here to 16 and it shows that he's a man. And look at all the accomplishment that this man would have done in the process of. Okay? So this is a man that's doing this. So there's an embodiment of that spirit of the devil, the deceiver, that's on the planet. And the embodiment of that is the Edomite race, which have labeled themselves Caucasian and white. Okay? They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms? Like I said, he shook Japan up. Okay? And they had a third one that they was getting ready to use as well. Okay? Hiroshima, Nagasaki. But they had a third one that they was getting ready to use, and they was going to drop that on Tokyo itself. Okay? So she's talking about rain down. What the scripture says, like I said in Revelation, it says, he's coming down with great wrath because he knows that he has but a short time. And the time has gotten absolutely short now, according to what the prophets are seeing. Okay? The real prophets that's going to give you the 100% truth. Like I said, uncut, unfiltered, giving you the destruction, telling you about the real destruction that is coming. Okay, the men of GMS and like-minded affiliates, but mainly of GMS. Okay, so now let me go back here and pull that up.
Becomes part of the amnesia of not seeing how he handled COVID, not remembering how he handled COVID, of not remembering his tariff wars that basically almost bankrupted farmers in Iowa. And the kind of chaos that he brings, the kind of divisiveness that he brings. It's like living in a reality show.
She said divisiveness, basically divided, right? That's what she's saying. Divisiveness, the division or dividing of the nation. Let me get the scripture that tells you that. Okay, so I pulled up this kingdom divided, okay, and I went straight into the New Testament, and this is all in red. So you see, this is all things that Yahweh Shai said. Different accounts are basically the same thing. And Yahweh Shai, they say Jesus, but Yahweh Shai knew the thoughts and said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. Okay, that's Matthew 26. And if Satan cast out Satan, he is divided against himself. How shall then his kingdom stand? Why? Because they was telling you, how can Yahweh Shai be of the Lord and this, that, and the other? But he's saying that if I'm doing this and I'm casting out demons and whatnot under the power of Satan, then that doesn't make sense, because there would be a division of the underlying rulership that would be there. Okay, but it was not. It was him doing what he was doing and rooting out the evil that was among Israel at the time with the Pharisees and the Sadducees. Okay, Mark 3:24. And if a kingdom is divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. So this is America, and it's divided. Okay, Luke's the same thing, but he knowing that thought said, unto every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and a house divided against itself, divided against a house falleth. If Satan is divided against himself, how shall his kingdom stand? Because ye say that I cast out devils through Beelzebub. So like I said, this is what that was about. But basically, this is a kingdom that's divided. So how in the hell can this be that? Okay? But like I said, our women turned their back on us. So now let me go back over here. Here we go. Go back here. Where the hell did it go? Hold on. Give me a second.
This is a dark day for America. I think of Thomas Jefferson when he said, I tremble
just a little bit.
This feels like the kind of last stand of white supremacy. And it's going to put so many of us in jeopardy. And it's also part of the drug of American exceptionalism, where those who voted for him believe that they're going to be safe from the policies that he's going to rain down. And so that becomes part of the amnesia of not seeing how he handled COVID, not remembering how he handled COVID, of not remembering his tariff wars that basically almost bankrupted farmers in Iowa.
But like I said, is that something new? Not according to scripture. That's nothing new either. Why? Because these people don't want to deal with or listen to or understand what is being said. Let's go here. Let's go in here. Let me open up all. Let me come out of here. I want to come out of there. Come on out. We don't have to stay there. Go back then. Okay. I don't want to go into that. I want to go over here to Jeremiah. This was a prophecy that was meant to happen to us. Jeremiah 17:4. And thou, even thyself, shall discontinue from thy heritage that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thy enemies in a land which thou knowest not. So Jeremiah was prophesying this before it even happened, that we were going to be brought to America pursuant to Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, the 68th verse. Okay. So this was already prophesied. So now they got over here. So she talking about amnesia. It is an amnesia. It's called Stockholm syndrome, and all these women that benefited from this, because it was during the mid and late 60s and this, that, and other. You know, Kennedy had already been smoked out. You had Tricky Dick, Richard Nixon. in office when a lot of this affirmative action and shit was coming in. Okay? And these types of things. So, the Republicans was doing that shit then. Okay? I don't remember Nixon being a Democrat. I think Tricky Dick was a Republican to begin with. So it is what it is. Okay? So Jeremiah 17:4, and thou even thyself shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thy enemies, land which thou knowest not, for ye have kindled a fire in my anger, which shall burn forever. And forever right there just means a long time, and it has burned for a long time. And like I said, and now our women want to tell us this and that, but like I said, statistically, 78% of the so-called Negro man or the African-American male voted for Kamala. Okay? So I'm going to let this go back and go let a little bit more of this play. Okay? They don't understand their enemies and who hates them.
We almost bankrupted farmers in Iowa. And the kind of chaos that he brings, the kind of divisiveness that he brings. It's like living in a reality show and believing that it's not reality. This is a dark day for America. I think of Thomas Jefferson when he said, I tremble for my country because God is just. Because that's what we're looking at.
Okay, but she think of Thomas Jefferson. Wasn't Thomas Jefferson a slave owner? Let me look that up. Let me check that out real quick. Give me 1 second. Okay, so I looked it up. Was Thomas Jefferson a slave owner? It says, yes, Thomas Jefferson owned over 600 enslaved people during his lifetime. Oh, so she gonna quote a motherfucker that basically had the mindset that Trump had about making America great. When he said it the first time, we knew who he was trying to make America great. But now she gonna quote him? She gonna quote him. So this is supposed to be a learned woman, right? This is supposed to be a learned woman that made this statement, and she quoting Thomas Jefferson, who was an active slave owner.
Because that's what we're looking at. I'm trembling for our country right now.
And Professor Anderson, the vote that Trump got, right now it's at 71 million.
Policies that he's going to rain down. And so that becomes part of the amnesia. This is a dark day for America. I think of Thomas Jefferson when he said, I tremble for my country because God is just. Because that's what we're looking at.
And God is just. See, and so she don't even get a chance to understand that. Let me pull up the scripture. Revelation 13. Let me see. Let me go get Revelation 13th chapter. So she doesn't even understand this scripture. Starting at 9, Revelation 13:9. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth in captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here's the patience and the faith of the saints. So listen up, and if you're tuned in to what I'm saying, you're going to understand. He that ruleth with the sword and killed with the sword must be killed with the sword. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. Here's the patience and the faith of the saints. So the saints are waiting for this part to happen, okay? Which are the 144,000 men of the elect, the hopeful elect, that's looking to be able to do this, and their spouses and those children that's going to be with them in the process of this. This is what this is about. But she quoted Thomas Jefferson, not understanding that he's part of the mindset that Donald Trump has. Look at the irony. And, they want, I got something else I want to pull up because, like I said, you got people out there losing their mind on social media. Let me go get that too. Let me get that social media where they losing their mind at.
And some people with what I'm gonna say, and I don't give a to all you Latinos that voted for Trump, I hope he mass deports you and your entire family. Whether you were here legally or not, you gotta go. I hope he does that. To you black men who your fragile ego couldn't take a black woman in office, so you either voted for Trump or you didn't vote at all, the police will now have carte blanche to murder you right where you stand. And when they do that, there's not going to be no GoFundMes. Don't ask your family to ask us for shit. Just die. They can't afford to bury you. Dig a hole in their backyard. It is what it is.
Wow.
But don't expect sympathy. Don't expect protests in the streets. We're not doing that. Black women, we're done. We're done. We did our due diligence for this century and the next. We've done enough.
Y'all hear this shit, right? You hear this, right? See what I'm saying? See this? See this? Okay. See this? Hold on. Okay, so like I said, you heard what she said, right? But now look at this. This is 3 different places. AOL. Exit polls show majority of black men and women voted for Kamala Harris. Okay? Yahoo, The Griot. Let's see what else. Oh, here we go. NBC News. 78% of black men support, but posters say she could have done better. But 78% of the men, the so-called black males, which goes against what it is that's supposed to be happening anyway, because let me get that scripture in, is that Deuteronomy? Yeah, Deuteronomy. Which means that they don't even understand this in the first place. The people shouldn't even been at the polls in the first place. Let me get the scripture to prove that. Okay, this is Deuteronomy 17th chapter. It says, where am I going to start at? Start at 13. And all the people shall hear and fear and do no more presumptuously. When thou come into the land which Yahweh thy power giveth thee, thou shalt possess it and shalt dwell therein, and shall say, I will set a king over me like as all the nations that are about me. Thou shalt in any wise set him king over thee, whom the Yahweh power shall choose from among thy brethren. Thou shalt set king over thee. Thou mayest not set a stranger over thee, which is not thy brother. So like I said, Kamala's not even us in the first place. So 78% of people that the so-called black man and whatever the percentage was of the so-called black nation or the Israelite nation, tribes of Judah, Benjamin, Levi, that did vote, and Latinos as well, voted for this female, but they would have been sitting Ishmael over them. If that had happened, that would have been Ishmael. Okay. Not that. So like I said, see, these people don't understand the scriptures. They don't deal. They don't get a chance to understand it on no kind of level. I'm gonna finish it with this scripture though. I might finish it with this one. Let me go to Psalms. So I want to go to Psalms and pull this up. Let me show you something in Psalms real quick. Psalms 83. We'll read 1 through 7. Psalms 83, 1 through 7. Keep not thy silence, O power, hold not thy peace, and be not still, O God. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. So they've been put above us. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. Who are the hidden ones? These Israelite men that understand this truth. Even though we out there on the streets and this, that, and other, they're not trying to give us no real TV time per se. They almost did a movie of quite a few years back on that. It was some movie with Danny Glover, and I think old boy from from wasn't it was what was that movie with LL Cool J when he was telling Jay Reed, you ain't no cop. Same brother that was in Love and Basketball. That guy, okay, he was in the movie too. He was supposed to be in that movie too. But like I said, they never followed through on that because that would have stirred up enough to make people actually look and try to get a bearing on it. And it wasn't that time then. Now is the time. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. The crafty counsel, hide who it is. Put the covering cast on the people. Keep them, Jeremiah 17:4, keep them away from their heritage so they don't know what's going on. They have said, come, let us cut them off from being a nation. How they cut us off from being a nation? By cutting us off from our heritage. That the name of Israel may no more be in remembrance, for they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. So they was confederate. They confederate, or they came together against us. Okay. But look at this, verse 6. The tabernacles of Edom. Edom. That's the so-called white man. The Israelites. That would be Camilla. That would be Camilla's people. Of Moab, that'll be the so-called Chinese, and the Hagarenes, Gerber, Ammon. Ammon would also be the Japanese, and Amalek. That'll be the Ishis, okay? The Ishis, the ones that's over there in Tel Aviv now. The Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre. The Philistines is the so-called Africans, okay? And so on and so on. So our people don't understand who their enemies are. So anything that's got a color to them, they want to hook up to, or whatever the case might be. And I've even got some gentlemen that's my age that I occasionally might have a conversation with, or whatever, while maybe catching a game or whatever it might be, and just to hear they posts. And they so blind and in the dark and willing to latch on to anything that's got color. That is sad. It is absolutely sad that they haven't figured out. And some of them I grew up with, and we looked at this and saw the dog race of people hiding in the bushes with Ishmael and the Edomite hunting Kunta and his crew in Roots. And it still ain't clicked after all these years. Even though the so-called Africans that I know of, they don't live in the hood. They live down like in High Park, but that's where a wealthier group of people and a melting pot is at. They live up on the north side, where whites and issues and all these other kinds of stuff are there. They don't want to live down here in the hood with us. Okay? So I'm just getting you to understand and see this from Scripture standpoint, how these people don't even understand what they're doing and going against the Bible in return. You know, it was one more thing I wanted to bring up, though. It's one more thing I wanted to bring up. And you're talking about that. Let me show you one more thing that I want to bring up. One more thing that I'm going to bring up, and then I'm going to let this go. Let me pull this up. Okay, come on. Okay, let me go to here. Was Thomas Jefferson a slave owner? Let me go here. I want to go here and show you this. Open this back up. Expanding the vote, state felon disenfranchisement reform, 1997 to 2023. I'm going to show you something. Just going to roll through something real quick. Voting eligibility and a person's involvement in the criminal legal system have a historical but unnatural association in the United States. Some state laws dating back over 100 years. And that's why I was explaining to Brother Menachia, who I reside with, how I remember where once you got convicted of a felony, you couldn't vote. Period. Now it says they rescinded this and whatnot, but even though they rescinded it, let me show you something. I'm gonna jump straight to the point. Let me show you some of the stuff. Alabama streamlined process. Okay. Okay. Streamline, restored voting, authorized persons, restored voting, Delaware, repealed lifetime. So see, some states it used to be a lifetime. District of Columbia, expanded voting, simplified that, Secretary of codified data, restored voting, simplified, established, repealed lifetime, Maryland, repealed lifetime, voting, Nebraska, repealed lifetime, repealed 5 years, I guess 5 year waiting period before you can get it in Nevada. Established, repealed lifetime in New Mexico, required criminal what was it? Required criminal justice to agencies to provide. Okay. Rhode Island restored. Tennessee streamlined. Texas repealed 2 year waiting period after getting out. Clarified state established. Restored voting. Allowed persons. Okay, this ain't another. So it was at one point in time where, like I said, over 100 years ago, if you got popped off, you couldn't even vote. And let me see. Let me go and show you this. Okay, let me show you this. Okay, I'm gonna pick it up at the top of the thing here. Let me mark. See if I get there. You go. We go start right there. Despite the stark consequences of mass incarceration and voter disenfranchisement, the advocacy of incarcerated and formerly incarcerated activists, organizations, legislative champions, and others have successfully fought to pass reforms to expand voting rights to justice impacted individuals. These changes, both administrative and statutory, in recent decades, coupled with recent modest declines in population of incarcerated people and those under community supervision, reduced the number of people disenfranchised by 24% since reaching this peak in 2016. Okay, so you had, but now let's go here. Overall, voting eligibility and a person's involvement in the criminal legal system have a historical but unnatural association. So let me get down here to the bottom. As a result, I'm starting right here at this. Starting right here. As a result, over 4.6 million Americans with felony convictions were disenfranchised as of 2022. Disproportionately impacting Black and Latinx residents. So we was cut out the system. So you take 4.5 million people and throw them in the mix and all them voted for Kamala, she probably would have got elected easily, but that wasn't the case. And that wasn't how it was supposed to go, because that would go against what the Lord has planned anyway. So I hope that this has been edifying for you all to get a chance to see it statistically, see it in the scriptures, and it's that knowledge that these people voting for this system is basically trying to latch yourself onto this system, and that's going to be woe to them that go down into Egypt, which is basically Egypt is another was a form of slavery for the Israelites as well. So if they don't realize that they're still in slavery, then that's on them. So hey, I hope that was edifying. I want to send all praises, honor, and glory out to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Kakodash, to the apostles and elders of GMS House, New York. Again, double honors for the brethren pushing this word. A hearty shalom for the hopeful elect. I hope that's edifying for the Aquas, the fear and the true. Okay. To you as well, but for the 2/3 Israelites, 17 other nations, a ball.